helps me to forget. Wonder what I'm thinking. Wonder why I'm drinking. But it's plain to see I'm not the man I used to be.
Hello, welcome back to 52 Topics with Frank Fiordolino. Episode 2, Ridgewood, A True Story. Roosevelt Avenue. So Roosevelt Avenue, this is an avenue that I've walked basically my whole life being from Queens, but more on the Flushing side. It starts, well, depending on where you are. By me, it starts like off Northern Boulevard and 156th Street over there. If anyone's from Flushing, North Queens. And it basically ends at Queens Boulevard. It's about 6 miles, but it's a hard 6 miles, whether you're walking it or driving it. And the part of Roosevelt Avenue that we're going to speak about today has kind of been in the news the past couple of years. It has been a gang haven for a lot of South American gangs, and it's become, unfortunately, one of New York's premier red light districts. A lot of shit goes into that. Roosevelt Avenue, man, it's definitely a big slice of Queens. What was going on with why were you going to Roosevelt Avenue in the late 80s, early 90s, Frank? Couldn't have been for something good.
No, but it was fun nevertheless. Yeah, talk about being a red light district. I think the prerequisite to that started way before it was, I guess, regarded a red light district. But I guess I'll get to that in a little bit. We'll get to Roosevelt Avenue, but just to renovate, I don't remember who took us there. Could have been Kenny, back to Kenny from last week. Could have been. I know I've been there with Alex, but it definitely had to be Colombia and George, my brother's brother-in-law, and we'll we'll get to that. But before we get to that, let's go to last week with the fight with Alex and Kenny. So they get into it, and I see Kenny after, he fucking got like these raccoon eyes. He forgot about it, but it was bitter. He was like, he should have done that. And I was like, yeah, man, just forget about it. Let it go. You know what I mean? He was, but it was at the time, not thinking back, Alex was going through a little something. A year before, he lost his best friend in a car accident that he was there with. And so was there was a kid, Harry Maltese. He was the driver, and Alex was the passenger, and the kid in the back, Frankie, really, I'm talking. And listen, when I talk about a really good kid, was studying to go to medical school and the whole 9 yards. They were coming back from the Lemon Tree, and there was a strip on Metropolitan Avenue. It started by Christ the King, and from Christ the King all the way to that other end, there was no stoplight. So it was a drag strip. It was a good, I don't know how many feet I would say, but a good, probably I'll say 2 football fields. Okay, so they would take off, and they were coming back from Forest Hills. They were going home, and on the strip, Harry loses control, and they slam right into a pole. Now the impact usually the front, but they banked to the back a lot, and the kid was like semi sleeping, and it just killed the poor kid. And make matters worse, his younger brother was in the back in another car, and he seen the whole thing go down. And I remember when that happened. I mean, Alex was a happy-go-lucky guy, always, and that really put him, and even Harry for that matter. Harry, after that, Alex was in the hospital for about a week. I remember him going to the hospital, and it kind of like hardened him up in a lot of ways. He just didn't, where he would let a lot of things go, or laugh about it, or joke around, or the worst, maybe not even talk to you. It got him, and it brought him to another place. So I don't know what was going on, at the time, but that was it was easy to tick him off back then, and it took a long time for him. I don't think he ever got over that. But back to who took me to Roosevelt Avenue. Let's get to that. I had probably with my brother's Phil's brother-in-law George. So he used to come around, and my brother Phil hated it. He goes, The fuck you hang out with these kids for? Leave them the fuck alone. He used to either pick up me, Paul, this other kid, Dave, that used to hang out with his David kid. We grew up with him too. And he used to do the strips. He used to take us to the fucking topless joints and fuck with us. Hey, you guys want to get laid? You know, he had the Colombian fucking accent. Come on. And he'd take us from place to place. But I don't remember if he was the first one to take me to the cat house, you know, where the women where the women of the night were at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so this is your brother's brother-in-law, but who is he? Like, what is he into? What's this guy all about?
Well,
Colombia George.
when he's not selling drugs, he's robbing drug dealers. Every time we'd get in trouble, it seemed like he was the guy to go to with a couple of other Spanish guys that my brother fucked with.
Okay,
You know,
one of those guys.
but we didn't want people to know where it was coming from. They were most likely we're going to use them, and they were older, and we did, and we'll get down to that. He got drunk early in the morning. He had like 2, 3 different cars. Nobody ever knew where he lived. He'd show up sometimes, gold chains, whatever the fuck he had. He did like the nose candy, and he would always be by the phone making deals and like his office. So he made this Irish place by my house, his office, because it had a fucking like telephone. So one
Yeah.
day I go in there and there's this woman with, you know, Irish woman with the bro. She goes, he was in debt. She goes, hey, she goes, is that your brother, your cousin or something? I go, no, that's like family. You know, it's my brother's relative. Goes, oh, okay. She goes, I don't have nothing problem. He's a good guy, tips me well. But my boss always wants you to know what's he doing there and everything. And I told my boss, you know, he pays, leave the guy alone. I just want you to know. I go, have they gotten into it? He goes, no. He says, okay, just in case. Told her, give me a call. Her name was Dorothy. And or beat me, whatever. I'm at the
Well,
call.
what was it? He just looked out of place.
Yeah, he's there at 10 o'clock in the morning doing shots, fucking with a roll of quarters, fucking using the bathroom.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
fucking just you know, he has that bulge. He's always carrying a fucking gun. So, I get a call one day. It's her. She goes, "Look, come over here. They're about to get into it." I said, "All right, I'll be right there." It was like a 1 block and a half. I come down, and he's there. He go, "Hey, what's up?" He go, "Hey, what's going on?" I go, I could see he was agitated. I go, "Is that right?" No, this motherfucker over there. He come here. The guy wasn't even looking at him. He's fucking just going off on him. You motherfucker. He goes, and he has his gun fucking showing up from his waistband. I said, bro, you understand that we live 2 fucking blocks away? I said, come on, we gotta go, we gotta go. Oh, fuck you, fuck them, and you don't want to hear nothing. He throws a chair down, gets like $50, gives it to her. He leaves.
Wow.
I finally get him out of there. But when Cooler Hands provided, Cooler Hands, I go, come on, man, my brother finds out for this. He goes, I don't give a fuck. I go, I understand, but fucking, we live here. You understand?
Yeah.
Your nephews and nieces live here. You understand? But that kind of shit. But he would take us to these places, and these places out in Roosevelt Avenue, you know, you go up there, you pay. There's rooms. You can pick a girls from the couches. You go into a couch. You go in there, and they're like, at the time it was $20 and $1 for the the condom. Okay. So you go in and then you tip them, whatever. And they were bringing beautiful women from Colombia until they found out they could make more money somewhere else in New York. And then you wouldn't see them anymore. But the funny thing to that is, and we would go there, and this was like when we weren't doing nothing on the weekdays or we had nothing to do. You got to remember, we were like 18, 19. We'll say, we even gave it a nickname, the place. And it's funny, there was a lot of coincidence too. We gave it a nickname because we wanted like, you know, it's something in Spanish which made no sense. We called it Gran Pinga, which means big penis. No, let's go to Gran Pingas. One place was called the Top Tomato because it was across the street from a Top Tomato on Roosevelt Avenue.
Okay.
So we called it the Top Tomato. So we went through these places for a while. We would hang out in the corner and say, "Hey, come on, let's go to the Top Tomato, whatever." But the funny thing about it was you had like the older group, the older Sicilian guys, you know, and they would love to go over there to the club.
Really? Is that right? They would go there too?
Not to the hooker houses, but the clubs. They had like these
Okay.
elegant clubs, bottle service. One was Cheap Chop, the other one's La Lloranza, which was a little bit more shadier, but the cheap chop was a more table like a Copacabana setting. You understand?
Okay. And some of them, I got dragged into a place over there one night.
Mm-hmm.
It was like depending on, I guess, not a Copacabana type place, but kind of like the girls are there, you give them a tip, they dance with you or whatever on the dance
No,
floor.
no, they
That's the
usually
kind of
have
place
to.
I got dragged into one night. Weird scene.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, no. It was like the
Yeah.
girls. They knew who the girls were, and sometimes it was funny. One time was the funniest because we go in there to go meet the older guys. They go, come on, have a drink with us." They're like in their 40s and 50s. We're in our 20s. We're like, "All right, come on, let's go hang out with them for a little bit." And I see one of my friends' dads making out with fucking one of these girls that worked at one of these brothels.
Okay. Wow.
Because she goes out. Well, they're making out. She's a good looking girl, but she doesn't know fucking like what she does. And we're just losing it. I go, look over there. I go, what the fuck? Go, yeah, we just went into the bathroom. And listen, if I'm 59, I probably would have made out with her too. She was like 25, 26. But back then it wasn't a good idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If they only knew where that mouth was.
And Alex,
I
I
get
told
it.
you he's Dominican, right? So he was he's Dominican, he's Spanish kid. And the thing about these places, and bring it to the ugly part of the world, is they didn't like African Americans to go in the place. They just didn't. They would ring the bell. The madam would look, and if they were African American, they go, "Sorry, we're closed." Because they just either they were afraid of whatever they were profiling or just. But a lot of it had to do with, believe it or not, how endowed a black person is. And Alex, I guess he fell under that for a couple of times. So he would make us walk in there with him first. You understand, like 3, 4 before us,
Yeah. He was
and he'd
slipping
be mad
behind
at
you.
us, like, "What are you gonna say now?" And
Yeah.
then once
Wow.
he's there, he would talk in Spanish to make them at ease that he's not American. But one time we went with this one kid. And he got a nickname from it. I'm not going to say his name. I don't want to embarrass him because he's another great kid. Did really well in life. I hear he's somewhere down south and he's doing pretty good. But we went in there and he was a greenhorn. We took him there for the first time. Now we were being the Georges of the world. We're
Yeah.
taking in
Yeah.
there. Come on, don't worry about it. Come in here. And he's looking around. He's nervous and shit. He goes into the room, and this chick comes out. She's fit to be tied. She said, "Fuck no, I ain't doing it." I said, "What the fuck?" She goes, "No, I ain't." I go, "What happened?" And she's picturing it. She's putting her hands wide. She said he's got a big fucking, a penis. So fucking, she goes, and she ain't doing him. So he got the nickname horsecock. Just from that. So now, he was a shy kid too. So we always wanted to see what the fuck it looked like. So we were in the corner sometimes we'd try to pull his pants down. But he was strong as a fucking ox. He was throwing us around like nothing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was a funny story. I mean, fucking that's how back that one. But we would go. I mean, we would go after the club sometimes. I remember one time I went with this kid, Joe, and fucking who else was it? Well, anyway, we went in there and then we hopped the fence at Shea Stadium and pretended we were fucking pitching.
Holy
The
shit.
bullpen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and I said, "Come on, that was great." Well, I didn't. He climbed. I just didn't want to climb. I said, "Pretend you're pitching." They were cleaning the stadium out. I
Yep.
like that was like a thrill. Yeah, we would just hang out there. Sometimes we'd eat there. There was a lot of good places to eat, a lot of Spanish places to eat.
Yeah, the parking lot was right there, right behind the bleachers. Like,
Yeah,
fucking,
yeah.
it
We
wasn't
would
like today where they're all down in the bottom, whatever.
yeah, and you could see that when we would go there, you could actually see John Franco's plants in the bullpen
There you go.
because he would you know he would grow the plants. And this kid Joe, he's a funny kid. His brother Mario is the one who was in that movie Once Upon a Time in Queens. So Joe has another run in with, like, he's at Pastels and he sees John Franco. He must have lost money or something. And he goes, "Hey, John." And he goes, "What?" And he goes like, "Hey, John." He goes, "What?" Then he goes, "Fuck you." So John Franco looks at him and goes, "Fuck you too."
My dad's been saying for years, He goes, it's that fucking John Franco that got Pete Rose in trouble. I'm telling you, that motherfucker.
That's
He was
another
saying
story.
he was helping him out with the fucking bet and this shit. I said, are you sure, Ellie? What do you? He's been saying it for fucking decades.
That's another story. Yeah, we could get into that, but I mean, real
Is
quick.
that true? Do you know something I don't know that my
Yeah,
dad
the
knows?
bookie came out of Staten Island, and that's where he lived. Not only that, they got rid of John Franco right away after that, and MLB wanted to, Major League Baseball wanted not to go there after the whole incident. But he was the one that was bringing him football scores from the fucking bullpen.
So wait, was this public back then, or did they cover it?
Yeah, no, that was very public. It's not like yeah. I mean, your dad
Oh,
got
you see, I must not have known that.
yeah, that was public. That was public.
But with Pete Rose specifically?
Yeah, they were buddies. That's when they played in
Okay.
Cincinnati. And the bookie was out of Staten Island. How many Reds players came out of Staten Island?
No, I get it.
No,
Yeah.
it was pretty open too. That's what he
Okay.
said. You know, he kind of opened it up even worse. He goes, "I bet baseball, but I don't bet on my team." Shut the fuck up! You don't bet nothing,
Yeah.
dummy.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's what's wrong with you. But I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, of course.
Yeah,
Too
of
bad he
course.
died. Rest in peace. He's one of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah, he's great. He was great. Yeah.
Yeah,
John Franco's great too, as a Met fan. Love Franco.
yeah, of course. So, we're back here. So we're back at Roosevelt Avenue. Yeah, it was a fun place, and there was always something going on, and it was somewhere we always went to. But the other place we used to go to a lot was Queens Boulevard, and Queens Boulevard was more, you know, where you hooked up with the girls. There was Pallads. There was a couple of strip joints at the time. Honey's was there forever. Pallads becomes Goldfingers after a while, and there was Lamour East, and we were this is before we hit 20. You got like in 1989, 88. Lamour East used to have all these
Yeah.
freestyle groups come there, like the Cover Girls, Expose, Taylor Dane. I seen Taylor Dane at freaking they used to bring like 10 of them and make them perform. And it was just 60, 70 bouncers. And at the time, they said this guy Vito was the head bouncer there, which so don't fuck around in there because this guy doesn't fuck around. And I didn't know Vito from a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've heard about him a couple of times. I think he goes by Vito Guzzo. So I never seen him there. So me and Paul are there. We have a little reputation of getting in trouble in these clubs. But this is like the club you really don't want to get the fuck in trouble with. Not because of Vito. At this point, you're having a couple of drinks. We don't even know who he is.
Right.
We feel sometimes if we get in trouble. And don't get me wrong, although I got George to go to, Paul has people to go to too, through his family. It wasn't like, you know, it's just that we use these resources a lot. And when you're comfortable and you have that little safety net, sometimes you think you get away with a lot of shit. And we had that little bit of cockiness, not as much as like the Howard Beach kids though, because their people was open. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're John Gotti's kid or you're Angel Ruggiero's kid or Didone's kid or Messino's cousins, whatever, that's different. This wasn't the case. I've said this many times. Most of our family members that could have made a difference in our lives, even the criminal ones, were in jail.
Yeah.
Or not there anymore. Not there for sure. I mean, while we were going out, my uncle's kids weren't going out. They were in bed at 10 or 11, and their dad wanted to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it. Hey, before we go ahead about Lamour East, you said you used to go to freestyle, because when I think of Lamour East, I wasn't old enough to like go hang out there, but I think of a lot of those like 80s metal bands and stuff playing Lamour East.
No,
did you ever catch any of that?
No, because it wasn't cool. Although I loved the music. If you ask any of my friends that knew me at the time, if anybody was well-rounded in music and liked all different types of music, it's probably me. But at the same time, it wasn't the cool music to listen to. So I let you know, I just went with the time. So freestyle was it, which I can't stand, even when I hear it today. And don't get mad at me, guys. You know, when I hear it today, I'm like, just turn this shit off. I don't know if it's because it's bad memories or whatever, you know. But
yeah, no, it can be a little cheesy and repetitive depending on the song. Yeah.
Right. And on one night, I remember that Paul has a cousin of his that comes from Sicily. Good kid. He comes over there, and he I don't know if he knows his cousin really well, but Paul is always like, He's having a good time. He's dancing. He's got the girls, whatever, you know what I mean? And then you could bump into him and fucking like look at him for, and the next thing he's swinging. He doesn't care if you're 6'5", whatever. But this time, there was two fucking guys that kept on stepping on our fucking feet right in front of us, right there in Lamour East. So,
and this is Paul Ragusa. I know you say Paul, but just for anyone that might.
I say Paul Ragusa.
Right. Paul is Paul Ragusa, just so
He was
we
all
know.
at about 5'9". He's a little, about an inch taller than me, maybe, but he's very thin, but wiry, very wiry. So he did, and these girls keep stepping on our feet. No, the guys do. And when he just shoves one of the guys, we're like, get the fuck off me, you know? The girls, we get attacked by like 3, 4, 5 girls, and we're getting hit and we got our heads down, with our hands over them, and we're looking at each other, and they're still going, and we're looking at each other. The next thing, we just start tossing these fucking girls right off us, you know? I mean, they were pulling our hair, kicking, whatever. And a bouncer sees this, and this is the fucking place you don't want to go through the back door. It's a very bad reputation of, if you go through the back door in that fucking place, you're not coming out well. You know, they're you're gonna broken bones, fucking stitches, whatever. So they grab him, and I'm going with him towards that door. Well, I go towards the door. The bouncer grabs me and brings me out the front door. Luckily, he's in the back door. So we go outside. It's me, his cousin, his Italian cousin, and it had to be another friend of mine that was with me. I forgot. Oh, that's right. There was this kid, Joe DeFury, who was with us. And kid who used to come out in the clubs with us all the time. We're outside, and we're waiting. I said, I don't know, man. If he don't come out, I got to make some fucking calls because this is bad. And we know this place had the reputation. So I'm like, oh, fuck. All right. What seemed like fucking, I don't know, 5 minutes back then seemed like forever, man, because and it's pretty. This was not like the other spots where we had gotten in trouble or they kicked us out and they just fucking kick us down the fucking flight of stairs or through a back door. We go back and throw fucking things at them. They come back and close their doors. It was different, and they made you fucking understand this is not the place you want to fuck around in. Yeah. So I'm looking at these guys and I'm saying to myself, well, you know what, man? If you don't come out in a little while, fuck, man. And then all of a sudden from there, I said, oh, fuck. You know, we weren't going to call no cops. We didn't do that shit. So just right there, right up, I'm about to go to fucking use a payphone.
El caballo no puede perder la flor que le dan, hombre.
El amor llega así, de esta manera, uno no se da ni cuenta. El cauta rebeldece y el guamachito florece y la soga se revienta. Cuando el amor llega así, de esta manera, uno no se da ni cuenta. El cauta rebeldece y el guamachito florece y la soga se revienta.